This coffee tastes like dishwater. Are you new? Or just stupid?
A billionaire just destroyed his empire with 2 words, and the woman he said them to? She's about to become his biggest nightmare. Hit that subscribe button right now and tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because what you're about to see will make you question everything you think you know about power, respect, and karma. The smell of fresh coffee and expensive cologne filled the Metropolitan, downtown's most exclusive restaurant, where deals worth more than small countries get signed over breakfast. Maya checked her reflection in the polished coffee pot. Tired eyes, perfect uniform, forced smile. Day 3 of pulling double shifts. Mom's hospital bills weren't going to pay themselves. She'd been here 6 months. Long enough to know which fork goes where. Long enough to recognize the faces that matter, and long enough to know that to these people, she was invisible. Table 7 buzzed with nervous energy. 3 men in suits that cost more than Maya's rent, all checking their phones, all sweating despite the air conditioning. The biggest tech merger in company history was happening in 20 minutes. $4.7 billion riding on one signature. "Where is he?" the youngest one whispered, tugging at his tie. "The Korean delegation lands in an hour." "Relax, Tommy. He'll be here," said the older man, but his hands shook as he reached for his water glass. That's when the door opened. Robert King walked in like he owned the world, because honestly, he pretty much did. Real estate empire, tech companies, politicians in his pocket. When this man spoke, stock markets moved. His assistant trailed behind him, frantically whispering updates about flights and contracts and millions of dollars. He slid into the booth at table 7 without looking at anyone. Maya grabbed the coffee pot and walked over, heart hammering against her ribs. These people signed her paychecks. These people could destroy her life with a phone call. "Good morning, Mr. King. Can I start you with coffee? Now, and get me the financial section." He didn't even glance up from his phone. "Of course, sir." Maya poured carefully, watching the dark liquid fill his cup. Perfect temperature, perfect pour. 6 months of practice paying off. She turned to leave when his voice stopped her cold. "And next time, move faster. Some of us have real work to do." The words hit her chest like ice water, but she smiled, nodded, walked away with her dignity hanging by a thread. You know that feeling when someone treats you like you don't matter, when they look right through you like you're not even human? Maya lived that feeling every day. In the kitchen, she grabbed the newspaper with hands that trembled just slightly, not from nerves, from rage, from the exhaustion of being small, from knowing that these people made more in an hour than she'd see in a decade. She walked back to table 7 just as Robert's phone rang. "Yeah? What do you mean delayed? I don't care about weather in Seoul. Get them here now!" He hung up and threw his phone on the table. The other men flinched. Idiots, the whole lot of them. He grabbed his coffee cup and took a sip. His face twisted in disgust. What is this garbage? Maya's stomach dropped. "Sir? This coffee tastes like dishwater. Are you new or just stupid?" Stupid. The word echoed through the restaurant like a gunshot. Conversation stopped, servers froze, even the kitchen went quiet. Maya felt something crack inside her chest. Not her heart. That had been broken too many times. Something deeper. Something that had been holding her together through 3 jobs, night school, and her mother's cancer treatments. "I'll get you a fresh cup right away, sir." "Don't bother. Just stay away from important tables. Send someone who actually has a brain." The other men at his table looked uncomfortable. One opened his mouth like he might say something, then looked away. Cowards, all of them. Maya walked back to the kitchen on legs that felt like concrete, past the other servers who pretended they hadn't heard, past the manager who was suddenly very interested in this paperwork, into the bathroom where she locked the door and stared at herself in the mirror. 26 years old, honors graduate, 3 jobs, perfect work record, and this man had called her stupid, in front of a room full of people. But here's what Robert King didn't know about Maya Rodriguez. She wasn't just a waitress. She was a business major who graduated summa cum laude before her father lost his job and medical bills swallowed their savings. She spoke 4 languages. She'd written her senior thesis on international mergers and acquisitions, and she'd spent the last 6 months listening to these deals, learning these names, understanding these handshakes worth billions. Maya dried her eyes, straightened her shoulders, and walked back into the restaurant. But something had changed. The scared girl who'd poured coffee 10 minutes ago was gone. Now, she had nothing left to lose. The Korean delegation arrived right on schedule, 5 men in perfect suits, led by an older gentleman with silver hair and sharp eyes. Park Industries, Samsung's biggest competitor. They'd flown 8,000 miles to shake hands on a deal that would reshape the global tech industry. Maya watched from across the room as the introductions began. Bowing, handshakes, smiles that didn't reach anyone's eyes. "Mr. Park," Robert stood up, all charm now. "Welcome to America. Are you ready to make history?" "Indeed, Mr. King. We are very excited about this partnership." Mr. Park's English was careful but clear. They sat down at table 7. Contracts appeared, numbers that Maya's head spin. $4.7 billion spread across white tablecloths like it was nothing. That's when Mr. Park asked for coffee. Robert snapped his fingers at Maya like she was a dog. "You, coffee, the good stuff this time." Every eye in the room turned to her. The Korean executives, the American lawyers, the servers who'd watched her get humiliated 20 minutes ago. Maya walked over slowly, very slowly. She poured coffee for each man at the table, her hands steady as steel. When she reached Mr. Park, he looked up at her and smiled. "Thank you, miss. You are very kind." "You're welcome, sir." Maya's voice was calm, too calm. She turned to leave, then stopped, turned back around. "Mr. Park." The old man looked up, surprised that a waitress was speaking to him. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about the Seoul manufacturing facilities. Are you planning to use the new semiconductor technology that your company announced last month?" The table went silent. Robert's face turned red. "Excuse me?" Mr. Park leaned forward, suddenly very interested. "The quantum dot technology. I read about it in the Financial Times. Fascinating innovation, though I imagine the supply chain integration must be challenging, especially with the current trade restrictions between—" "How dare you interrupt!" Robert started to stand. "Wait." Mr. Park held up a hand, his eyes never leaving Maya. "Please, continue." Maya's heart hammered, but her voice stayed steady. "Well, sir, based on your company's patents and the current market conditions, I'd estimate you're looking at about 18 months before full production capacity. But if this merger goes through, Mr. King's manufacturing network could cut that timeline in half." Mr. Park's eyebrows shot up. "You are very well informed for a waitress. I'm also a business major who graduated top of her class before life got in the way. Though I'm sure Mr. King would call that stupid, too." The silence stretched like a knife blade. "I beg your pardon?" Mr. Park's voice was ice cold.
Robert was sweating now. "Mr. Park, please don't listen to—" "What did you call this young lady?" "It was nothing, just what did you call her?" If you can feel your heart racing right now, smash that like button, because what happens next is absolutely insane. And comment below if you've ever had someone underestimate you, because Maya is about to prove exactly why that was the biggest mistake of Robert King's life. Robert's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. Around them, the entire restaurant had gone silent. Even the kitchen staff had stopped working to listen. "He called me stupid, sir, because I'm a waitress, because he thinks that makes me less than human." Mr. Park stood up, slowly, very slowly. His entire delegation followed. "Mr. King, in my country we have a saying, how you treat someone who can do nothing for you reveals everything about your character." Now wait just a minute. No, you wait. Mr. Park's accent grew thicker as his anger rose. This young lady just demonstrated more knowledge about our business than your entire team has shown in 6 months of negotiations. And you called her stupid? He turned to Maya. Miss, what did you study in college? International business with a focus on Asian markets, sir. And what was your thesis about? Maya's voice grew stronger. Cross-cultural business integration and the impact of respect-based leadership on long-term partnerships. She looked directly at Robert. I used your company as a case study for the second type, Mr. King. Robert's face went white. Mr. Park nodded slowly, then turned to his delegation and spoke rapidly in Korean. They began gathering their papers. Mr. Park, please, Robert stumbled over his words. Don't let some waitress. Mr. Park's voice could have frozen fire. This intelligent, educated woman who speaks multiple languages, understands complex business concepts, and treats people with respect, while you, a man with unlimited resources, use your power to humiliate hardworking people? The contracts were disappearing into briefcases, $4.7 billion, evaporating like smoke. In Korea, we have another saying, Mr. King. The fish rots from the head down, and your head, he shook his head sadly, is very, very rotten. Robert lunged forward. You can't do this. We have agreements, contracts. We have nothing. Mr. Park's voice was final. Good day. The Korean delegation walked toward the exit, but at the door, Mr. Park stopped and looked back at Maya. Miss, might I have a word? Maya walked over, her legs somehow still working despite the adrenaline flooding her system. You said your father lost his job. Yes, sir. What did he do? He was a project manager for an electronics company. 20 years. They downsized. I see. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. Park Industries has an opening in our American division, International Business Development. Starting salary is $120,000 with full medical benefits. Maya's hands shook as she took the card. Sir, I don't understand. I understand perfectly. Talent is rare. Character is rarer. You have both. He smiled. Call my assistant tomorrow. We'll arrange an interview. He paused at the door and looked back at Robert, who sat frozen at table 7, surrounded by empty chairs and broken dreams. Oh, and Mr. King, that young lady you called stupid, she just cost you $4.7 billion. I'd say that makes her the smartest person in this room. And then they were gone. The restaurant erupted in whispers. Phones appeared, pictures were taken. By evening, the story would be viral. By morning, Robert King's reputation would be in ruins. Maya stood in the middle of it all, holding a business card that would change her life, watching the man who tried to make her feel small disappear into his empire of money and loneliness. But the story doesn't end there. 6 months later, Maya walked into her corner office at Park Industries, designer suit replacing her waitress uniform. Her mother was in remission, treated by the best doctors in the country. Her father had a new job, in Maya's department, helping other immigrant families navigate business opportunities. Robert King? His company folded within a year. The Korean deal was just the beginning. Once word spread about how he treated people, partners started walking away. Investors pulled out. Employees quit. The last time anyone saw him, he was working at a small consulting firm downtown, taking orders from people he used to look down on, making in a year what Maya now made in a month. But here's the twist that'll give you chills. 2 weeks ago, Maya was having lunch at a small cafe near her office when a familiar figure approached her table. Older, grayer, wearing a cheap suit instead of Italian leather.
Robert King stood there, hat in hand, looking like a broken man. "Maya," he said quietly, "I know you have no reason to listen to me, but I wanted to say, I'm sorry. What I said to you that day, what I did, it was wrong. You didn't deserve that." Maya looked up from her salad. This man who'd once commanded boardrooms now couldn't meet her eyes. "I lost everything. My company, my family, my friends, all because I forgot that every person matters. All because I was too proud to see past my own ego. I hear you're doing well, that you're helping other people like yourself find opportunities. I wanted you to know, I think that's beautiful." Maya studied his face, saw the genuine regret, the hard-earned humility, the man he might have been all along if he just remembered to be human. "Robert," she said finally, "everyone deserves a second chance. Even you." She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "We have an opening in our community outreach program. It doesn't pay much, but it's honest work helping people who need it most." His eyes filled with tears as he took the card. "Why?" he whispered. "After what you did to me?" Maya smiled. "Because that's what my mother taught me. That how you treat someone who can do nothing for you reveals everything about your character. And I choose to be better than my worst moment." If this story just hit you right in the soul, if it reminded you that kindness is always stronger than cruelty, that dignity matters more than dollars, then smash that subscribe button and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me about a time when someone underestimated you, or when you chose to show grace to someone who didn't deserve it. Because in a world that often forgets the power of respect, we all need reminders that every person has value, every story matters, and sometimes the people we dismiss are the ones who end up changing everything. Thanks for watching. And remember, you never know when the person you're looking down on might be looking up at tomorrow's opportunities you'll never see.